Path of Exile 2 is a whole game being entirely rebalanced. The brand new, possibly frightening future of PoE 2 in early access and beyond. The simple truth about Chris Wilson. Unseen unique items, armor not really changing with the patch, complete Ascendancy tree breakdowns, where the druid actually is, a completely different kind of recombination crafting system, endgame map layout changes, my apology and explanation for overhyping the type of content coming in this patch. There was a bunch of new PoE 2 info dropped, not contained within the initial trailer and immediate gameplay deep dive likely unseen by the vast majority of PoE 2 players. Well, I'm here pulling from all these slightly hidden sources to highlight all the extremely good and a bit of bad coming to Path of Exile 2 with Dawn of the Hunt and beyond. The too long didn't watch of this video is simply this. Forget everything you've ever known about Path of Exile 2 between playing it during its first 4 months of early access and everything you thought you learned about it for the past 6 years since its announcement. That's all out the window. As always, every source I'm using is linked in the description below if you'd like to read or watch it yourself. There are also timestamps as this video is split into 3 parts. All the new stuff in PoE 2 0.2 with a speedy overview of the changes and new content highlighted by Grinding Your Games and a deep dive into all the extra interesting gems scattered elsewhere in interviews, Q&As, and news articles. The future of Path of Exile 2 as revealed outside the official presentation hosted by GGG and Ziggy D. And finally, my likely surprising opinion on the future of PoE 2, both why I am super excited and deeply concerned at the same time. This is a juicy one, Exiles. Hey, Talkative Try here. Welcome to another PoE 2 video. Like it if you enjoy it or if it's informational. Subscribe to the channel for lots more Path of Exile 2 content and watch all the way through if you think this is quality. That is the best way to help the channel grow and signal this is a useful video to more Exiles. Let's begin with part 1, all the new in PoE 2. For the most part, the premiere update of Path of Exile 2 focuses on 2 things: endgame and further character customization options. It was a reaction expansion to almost all the things some players thought sucked over the first 4 months of early access. Just in case you don't know the main features coming in 0.2, in under 1 minute, here's all the brand new content Grinding Your Games announced during the official reveal. 40 plus new endgame encounters like 12 rogue exiles and 7 endgame maps, numerous crafting systems, more than 100 new support gems, 25 new skills including Bind Spectre and Summon Roa, more than 100 new unique items with a focus on endgame viable uniques, the Huntress as a class, the Spear as a weapon, Bucklers as a shield type, 5 new Ascendancy classes, and completely reworked towers. All those things and more specific items were packed into that initial 40 or so minute reveal, but there was a ton of ridiculously amazing stuff scattered in the Q&A with Ziggy D, which lasted for 2 hours, and Q&A, interviews, and articles scattered all across the internet that I'd like to share with all of you here and now. First and most importantly, this patch includes a full game rebalance for PoE 2. Items, ascendancies, skill gems, support gems, passives on the skill tree, everything is changing, and 1.5 hours into the Ziggy D Q&A, Grinding Your Games told us to forget everything we know about PoE 2. That's huge. That's what the presentation should have led with. Hello everybody, forget everything you know about Path of Exile 2. Welcome to Dawn of the Hunt. It's a brand new game. In the interview with a creator named Destin, Jonathan mentioned this again. It's a completely new game and they decided to not include this in the reveal, presentation, or trailer, even for a moment. Upon reflection, it seems like he thinks it's a mistake, and I totally agree. We'll get to my view a bit later on this, but I was absolutely floored. GGG didn't discuss game balance until 3.5 hours into the reveal livestream, deep within the Q&A with Ziggy D. For myself and many others, this was the most anticipated point of discussion across the whole announcement. The goal here from Grinding Your Games seems to be toning down stuff massively, whether it's character power or monster power. They want combat to be more engaging in the endgame, although they expect character power to reach a point wherein they can down pinnacle bosses in 14 seconds or less. Here are a bunch of balance examples for both monsters and characters. Apparently, the Trial of Ascension bosses had double the health they were supposed to. That's fixed. Pinnacle bosses now have drastically less health from tier 1 to tier 3 difficulty, with less changes in their final form. These are the Arbiter of Ash and the King of the Mist, or Zesht. Heralds can no longer chain off each other, which will completely change the clear speed meta in endgame and even in the campaign. Temporalis is actually not being changed or nerfed that much, but it'll be much rarer than before. And stat stackers, well, they appear to be being brought down in power. How though is yet to be seen. There's a bunch of other changes too, which will all be detailed in the highly anticipated patch notes. Whenever those drop, I'll be doing an emergency stream here on YouTube and at twitch.tv/talkativetry. Go follow me there. We have fun. Aside from balance in the Q&A, it was also elaborated that the new uniques are heavily focused on providing new methods to craft powerful endgame characters. Almost all the uniques currently in PoE2 are only powerful when leveling, or even not powerful at all, and they missed the mark there. The items being added should be significantly more lucrative than the arsenal of endgame uniques currently viable in PoE2. Two awesome examples were teased on the release page for Dawn of the Hunt: Mjolnir, a seemingly actually strong one-handed mace enabling a lightning-based playstyle for mace builds, and Zerfi's Sarape, a body armor with the Soul Eater modifier on it, which is pretty darn cool. This allows you to absorb the modifiers of rare monsters. They also completely changed how recombination works, apparently, in Path of Exile 2. Instead of what was presented in the presentation stream, in the Q&A they explained that now you get to choose which modifiers on each item that you would like to recombinate into the new item. However, the items that you are recombinating will be destroyed, and there's a chance that no new item will be created based on how many modifiers you were selecting to recombinate onto the new item. That is completely different and far more deterministic than I ever thought grinding your games would allow recombination to be in either Path of Exile 1 or Path of Exile 2. Because in Path of Exile 1, it does not work that way. In one of the interviews, they also confirmed there is a new buff skill, Herald of Blood, which causes bleeding monsters to explode on death. With the new blood-based skills brought on by this spear, I'm pretty excited to try this out. And the Ritualist also has some blood-boiling stuff. Additionally, as a quality of life feature, seamless swapping between mouse and keyboard and controller was supposed to come in 0.1, then 0.2, but did not make it. But it should almost definitely be in 0.3. This will be huge for inventory management for controller people, which I know is currently terrible. There's also been work on the crashes, which should occur far less often in 0.2, which is a big win. Good work, grinding your games engine devs. In the press kit for Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt, they also revealed all of the Ascendancy notes for the 5 new Ascendancies, the 2 for the Huntress, and then the Lich, the Smith of Kitava, and the Tactician. I will have a link to all of the actual Ascendancies below if you have not seen them already. I will definitely be going in Amazon, well, almost definitely be going in Amazon for launch day based on the Ascendancy nodes. It also just looks awesome. If you'd like to speculate and try to theory craft your build, I highly recommend taking a look at these before you log in. I must say I was not high on Smithy Kitava when it first was revealed, but upon further introspection and taking a look at this, it actually seems pretty rad, and I might try to make this work. Defensive options are very difficult to come by in Path of Exile 2, while offensive options are not. And this Ascendancy is full of crazy defensive options, and you can just ignore all of the offensive minion and temper weapon stuff on it. Tactician just really seems useful in party play, and beyond that, I don't know how powerful it's going to be or how it will feel to play solo. I don't know if I'll give it a chance. The Lich, though, is just such a cool concept, especially with the jewel that you can socket into the Ascendancy tree, and it opens up a brand new avenue of expansion with chaos skills and new ways to scale minions, which I know lots of people are super high on with Raise Spectre or Capture, or what is it called? We're gonna go with Pin Spectre, and I know that's definitely not it. It looks busted and fun. I might finally have to try out minions in this expansion. In the Q&A with Ziggy D, they also mentioned that not much is changing with armor, and they still have to look at it, although we do know Energy Shield is being brought down in strength. There will be multiple changes there, but Mark Roberts, one of the 2 game directors on Path of Exile 2, essentially said, we know that it's not exactly right, we need to do more things there, and we'll get back to you on it. So it does not seem like there will be any true significant armor changes in this patch. Finally, much like Viper-esque always revealed juicy tidbits about skill design before PoE2 Early Access released, we had a developer in chat during my live reveal reaction who let us know that, despite not being discussed in any interviews or articles, map layouts in Endgame, especially the seriously rough ones, have received big improvements, which is great to hear. We'll have to see how these pan out in game. Sort of alongside that, he also said the campaign hasn't received many changes in 0.2, and those will come later. Succinctly, Dawn of the Hunt seems to focus entirely on expanding out new character options with support gems, unique items, and a complete rebalance of every single aspect of PoE2, and it hits on the biggest qualm of some players in early access: lack of endgame content. It's a reaction patch, not a progressing patch. They focused on addressing all the feedback expressed by the loudest among early access players, and it's a good patch. My excitement sits at an 8 out of 10. after mulling it over for a few days. Now on to part 2, the murky future of PoE 2. Actually, but first, there might not be any new supporter packs coming with Dawn of the Hunt, so maybe you have a little bit of extra disposable income that you can spend on the sponsor of today's video for some sweet IRL cosmetics. Into the AM. Into the AM has been the longest sponsor of this channel, starting all the way back in freaking January of last year. It has been tremendous, and they have helped me elevate my style of clothing and provide me with a huge new array of graphic t-shirts to wear. And I will have you know, they are beautiful, they are comfortable, and they are long lasting. This might be a brand new one, which is very Cthulhu-esque, but this one right here was the very first shirt I received from Into the AM. And it has lasted over a year, and it is still in perfect condition, even though my arms have gotten much larger and it's a little bit tighter on them. If you'd like one of these long-lasting, awesome tees, you can use my code and link below for a 10% discount on the store. They also have site-wide sales constantly ongoing. Right now is the spring sale. So go ahead and use my link and code Talkative Try for a 10% discount and giving me some sweet calm by buying those shirts. Thanks so much to Into the AM for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to that other shirt and let's get back to the future of Path of Exile 2. While the official reveal and post-reveal question and answer session hosted by Ziggy D with PoE 2 game directors Mark Roberts and Jonathan Rogers focused almost entirely on the imminent expansion, many of the interviews and press articles released around the same time explored the not short-term future of the game, but what's happening in the medium and long-term for Path of Exile 2. Let's just say it was all extremely interesting. Let's break it all down. We got to start with Chris Wilson. There was no falling out there. He has just been a board member for quite a while, and he finally stepped down this year. Jonathan and Chris still talk every single day. All the drama there was completely overblown. Next, Jonathan says there is a 65% chance that Path of Exile 2 releases out of early access this year. They would be very disappointed if it doesn't release this year, and they cannot say it's a 100% chance to happen, but there is a good chance it comes out this year with caveats, because now they don't need all the classes and seemingly all the acts in early access. They said they would like all of the classes in early access, but they might not make it. This is a very different stance than what they've held for many years now. They also said they would like to see each new act come in one at a time, and they think they'll get the next 3 in, so they'll have all 6, and the progression and testing of the game would be weird without having them all in. But then there was a little bit of conflicting info. Maybe Act 6 will come with the launch of the game. Maybe it's going to be in during early access. It seems like there's a bit of indecision there. This is also a completely different shift compared to what they held 5, 6, 7 months ago, wherein they said they needed all the acts in at once to have good testing happen to the game so that you could see the progression from Act 1 all the way to Endgame through all 6 acts. That's not happening now. There's Cruel in the game. There's not a new act in the game right now, and we don't quite know when the next act is coming. There's no timeline on that. They were also asked about the Druid, and you know what they said? Classes take a really long time to make, and they have no timeline, no news, no information on the Druid right now, which is very different compared to just a few months ago when they said it was basically done and it will definitely be in the next patch in early access alongside the Huntress. They would be the first 2 classes added to the game. They were also asked about their team and what their team was working on, and right now they have a giant team working on Act 4. They also said 0.3 is going to be bigger than 0.2, and it's likely to have many more players than 0.2, and they expect 0.2 Dawn of the Hunt to have less players than the early access launch of Path of Exile 2 back in December. They reiterated that they will only be doing big balance during big patches. Every 3 months is the goal for these big patches, and the plan is to have smaller updates within these patches with quality of life changes. They really want to do this for 0.2. They don't think they hit the mark with 0.1. One example of something that might be coming in one of those little patches are actual affinities or stash tabs for runes, which will be much more prevalent in the new expansion. Another one is map pins for the Atlas, in which you can tag certain areas and fly to them. That's awesome. We need those bookmarks grinding your games. They also revealed that the early access launch paid off development costs of PoE 2 already, and it made the game profitable. That is crazy that they recouped those costs just now. They must have made an absolute ton of money with early access. Tencent is probably very pleased. They are probably very pleased. It's wild. They also estimate that the costs of creating Path of Exile 2 so far are under $100 million. So what's the summary here? The goal of early access has completely changed. as has much of development focus and time behind the scenes. This leads me to part 3, my reformed view of Path of Exile 2. Exiles, you can call me many things, many names or titles. A Path of Exile fanboy, a grinding your game shill, a blind lover of Path of Exile 2, a blaster, a casual, king of Glaze Nation, a gamer dad, a dinosaur, the PoE2 hype man. They all have merit. They really do. I think after this latest update and announcement, I need to add a new title to the arsenal because a few of them are retiring, at least for now. That new title, it's simple and it probably sounds way worse than it is. Grinding Gear Games Skeptic. Wait, let me explain. As expressed throughout the video, I am beyond excited for this patch and all that's coming with Path of Exile 2. It's a big patch, and I don't think it's underwhelming. However, regarding the future of Path of Exile 2, what Grinding Gear Games stated PoE2 would be, what would be added, what would be the focus, and so on and so forth, as recently as 5 months ago, has completely shifted, and certain promises and or design decisions are being broken. And it's easy to understand why. It took me a nice meal and a good sleep to understand why after being uncharacteristically pissy during the live stream reveal. And my simple conclusion is just leading to me not filling my head and the heads of others with wishful thinking or imminent things coming or changes that aren't actually coming due to the new development processes, structure, and communication style of Grinding Gear Games, especially with Path of Exile 2. PoE2 is not going to be the game that was pitched 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or even 1 year ago, or even 5 months ago. It's going to be an evolving game developed by a team who would really like to try brand new things and implement them every 3 or 4 months, throwing out things that seemed awesome and fail or succeed based on the merits of those implemented systems, not based on a vision they've held for years. That is super cool and different, but I need to say, this is why some people were underwhelmed with the reveal. No name calling from me or anything. It makes sense, especially from the perspective of someone who, yes, overhyped the patch based on what I seriously thought was coming and being focused on. This all seems really silly to go over, but I feel like it just needs to be said. I know it's just a game. I know, but I still feel like I need to express this so people understand where some of these perspectives were coming from. One example is long-form engaging combat. That will not be game-wide. The curve of engaging combat and combat pace will be much better according to Jonathan Rogers, though we've yet to see the patch notes, but they expect endgame characters to eventually be able to completely blast screens and kill pinnacle bosses in 14 seconds or less. Another is rapid changes during early access. That's not happening anymore. They don't want to frighten off or upset players, and they will not meet in the middle with cheaper respec costs. For example, again, the Druid was basically complete 5 months ago. Now there's no timeline for it. There's a lot changing behind the scenes, obviously. Another example are the new acts. The acts were 80% done about a year ago, according to Grinding Gear Games, when they began to work on Endgame to satisfy that part of their ARPG. Now they're not in the game, and it's uncertain when they're coming. We're told a giant team is working on Act 4 right now. I'm wondering if they threw out a big part of it and are reworking it due to not being pleased with its layout or something similar, but even then, I don't know if I can fully believe that statement. They are super transparent and I love that, but sometimes, all the time actually, I take their word as gospel and I shouldn't. Heck, they used Lumerius, a character in a far-off future act, for all the marketing involving the game. I have his hammer behind me from an event from June 2024, and there's no appearance from him in sight. Their plans had to have changed on a whim and completely changed at that, and I get it. Development of any kind, but especially quite transparent game development, is super difficult. But I just don't like speaking with such confidence on things, and then those things not coming to pass. It's pie on my face, and it feels like I'm tricking people, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to overhype anymore. Grinding Gear Games captured a huge audience with the release of Early Access, enough sales to recoup all their development costs and become profitable. That's huge. I'm massively happy for them. I seriously love this company, but it's obvious ideas about the game have drastically shifted since then, and we're seeing behind the curtain of what development has likely looked like since PoE2 creation began in 2017 or 2018. It's a ton of stuff recycled and thrown out, even if it seems like it's awesome already. I'm looking at you, Druid. They want to get things perfect in their eyes, and nothing is sacred or promised, and the vision of what we thought PoE2 would be and how it would come out, that's gone. They're not going to treat this like an early access game. As they said, it's like a fully released game. And many of the targets are changing too. It's not the game envisioned and pitched for years, and that's fine. I am excited for that, for this version of Path of Exile 2. I truly am. It was just jarring to hear all these promises are moving and perhaps changing in real time. To hear them not address some of those most important things, those things that in my and in their past views were vital, and instead pivot to the current development vision. I've been reading every article, listening to every interview, absorbing everything related to this game for the past few years and sharing it with all of you. And now I've accepted this is going to be a very fluid, very different style of development and a very new Path of Exile 2. And it's time for me to not overhype all of you and just enjoy everything as it comes. It's gonna be a lot of awesome stuff. For the foreseeable future, I'm going to be more skeptical of what's definitely coming, or the vision they have or had. It's evident these can change extremely quickly based on a variety of factors, and I get that now. I'm just gonna let them cook and enjoy the ride, and I'm not going to ruin anyone's expectations anymore. I am super excited for Dawn of the Hunt and the future of Path of Exile 2. I have a bunch planned. Exiles, I hope to see you in-game and in future videos. As always, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more from this channel in the future, click the subscribe button and check out this video on screen right now, which is likely a podcast with some awesome folks about the Dawn of the Hunt reveal. I'll see you in the next video, my fellow exiles. Stay sane.